Welcome to Make Your Own Fun. I am here with filmmaker and actress and horror hostess extraordinaire, Jennifer Nangle, who it's
Woo!
been 3.5 years since she's been on the show. So much has happened since then, and oh my God, we have so much to talk about. Welcome back.
Thank you. Has it really been that long? It feels like yesterday.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. Well, you're going to be so happy because the first few questions, I think most of them have the word congratulations in them. So
I'm honored. I love it already.
just
I'm
make your
glad I
day,
came.
right? Okay,
Yes.
so you just got back from Tampa Bay Screams. So I guess let everybody know kind of how that went and how it kind of comes about when, someone reaches out to you and kind of like how do you make those arrangements for someone people watching who probably haven't taken part in anything like that?
Tampa Bay Screams was amazing. I had the best time ever. It was a 1 day, 6 hour event, which was absolutely perfect. I flew into Florida earlier that week to see my parents, and then my mom and I drove up to the Tampa area, and I stayed over at my cousin's house, and we hung around and had family time. And then that morning, we jet set it off to Clearwater, Florida, to the convention. And as we're getting closer and closer and closer, the clouds are getting darker and darker and darker. And, I've been a California girl for 20 years. The rain is just always never expected. And the skies opened up, and for the next 4 hours, it monsooned. So I kind of looked like a drowned rat, but it was a blast. I met so many wonderful people. I've been doing the convention circuit for about a year and a half now, and I have like this spiel that I do because a lot of times people don't know who I am, but they often mistake me for Wednesday's mom or Morticia Adams, which by all means is a wonderful compliment. But I then go into my spiel. But this time around, I had a lot of people that stopped me and they were like, "Oh, I know who you are. Oh, I follow your work. Oh, I follow you on social media." So slowly but surely, this is like becoming real and so much fun. Um, but basically, what happened with this situation was I entered their film festival, Malvolia, the Queen of Screams Halloween special of this year, screened at their film festival. So I entered their film festival. And then I just reached out to their social media and I said, "Hey, entered your film festival. I'd love to come down. I don't know like what's going on. If you need any more guests, I'm definitely available." And so they offered, and I was there in a couple of months.
That's so awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this saw the pictures online and some of the clips you posted and everything. And yeah, it never ceases to amaze me the amount of work that you put in, and you've been doing this. I guess you said I want to say 2017 is when you posted the first like social media image of Malvolia, right?
Yeah, good memory. Yes.
And,
January 1st,
I may have watched a
2017.
couple
Yeah.
interviews to prep for this. Anyway,
You got your cheat sheets. Good, 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 good. Yes.
yeah, and I was just thinking, like, just from that one image, I mean, look where you are now, and oh my gosh, I mean, it's really caught on. People really relate. Because not just is the character like, kind of an evil presence as a hostess and fun and sexy, but also I think she kind of exudes this thing where people want to be around her. I mean, not just like the ghouls and demons that you surround yourself with in the short films and in the movies and stuff, but so that's kudos to you because I think it's a really original character, and
Thank you.
I'll give you a huge compliment. So make sure you can get your head out of the door when you leave the room, which is I would really kind of compare what you've been doing in the last couple of years with the grassroots and everything to David Howard Thornton. And when I had him on the podcast, it's one of the things that I'll share with you, which is like the fans just appreciate it so much. And like you can, I know you can tell too when you're signing things and you're just there and people are so excited because and it's like he and I talked about, which is like these people are taking time off work and they're driving and they're getting hotel rooms sometimes. And like you're saying, like you're flying out of state and it makes their weekend, it makes their month. So just kudos to you for doing that because it means a lot because I think all of us coming up through, movies and TV and writing and acting and stuff like that, we were on the other side of that at a certain point.
Yeah.
We like these television characters and movie characters, and when we would go to stuff and be like, I can't look her in the eye. You know what I mean, right?
I
You've been
mean,
on the other side of it.
yeah, I've never been really starstruck. I mean, there have been a couple of celebrities that I've helped at the salon that I work at that I have kind of like freaked out. One of them was Corbin Burnson. I don't know if you remember him, but he was the dentist. And I don't know if I told this story because I tell this story a lot, but I watched The Dentist when I was real young and it terrified me. And one day I'm just at work and this man comes in and I'm kind of looking at him like, I know who you are. And they have to tell us like their names so I can check them in and stuff. And he told me his name and I literally, the heart started bumping and I was like, oh my God, it's the dentist. Like just little things like that freak me out. But I've never been like a super fan of things. It's just me. It's just who I am. But it is absolutely wonderful to have that experience with other people and those reactions from other people because it really means that what I'm doing matters and means something to people because for a certain amount of years you put out content, you only get so many views, you're like, do people like this, should I still continue on with this, why am I even doing
The
this, why
algorithm
am
discovered you.
and then algorithm, and then it's like, why am I even an actress? What is even the point of this anymore? Oh my gosh, I need to get into therapy. And then yeah, algorithm takes off, and there's some blessings, and yeah, it just is like, yes, this is all for nothing.
All right, well,
Besides my soul, besides
right.
making my soul happy. Yes.
So let's continue the little love fest here. So you have recently started a podcast called Beyond the Body Count with another awesome actor, writer, producer, director, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, named Charles Chudbala. And you guys have this awesome chemistry. And I guess let the folks know, because I haven't watched all 3 episodes.
That's okay. No
You're
judgment. No
welcome.
judgment.
Kind of like how that came about, because I know during the episodes you guys were talking about you'd been wanting to do it for a while.
Yeah. So Charles and I met in the horror community. I had done an interview a long time ago, and there was a filmmaker that was also being interviewed at the same time. And the guy that was in charge said, oh, have you ever met Hunter Johnson? If you want to get things done, if you really want to create movies, he's the guy that you want on your side. And immediately I was like, I'm going to get Hunter Johnson on my side because this is what I want to do. And so slowly but surely, I connected on social media with him. Maybe like I kind of sound kind of creepy and stalkerish when I tell this story, but slowly but surely we developed a friendship and a working relationship. And he did a movie called To Jennifer, and Charles was in this movie. And so I went to the premiere and I introduced and I met Charles, and he was lovely, lovely, lovely. And then we didn't connect until a couple like maybe a year later when we both did a movie directed and co-written by Hunter Johnson called Irrational Fear. And for some reason, that first day that we were there in the cabin in the woods, Charles and I just really, really connected. And while everybody was like getting to know one another and we were going out for dinner or whatever, Charles and I just sat on a bed and just talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. And we ended up being like bunk mates and like hanging out the 4 days that I was there. And so ever since then, we've been like inseparable. He's my bestie, and we just have a really good time together. And for a long time, we would get into some really deep conversations because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Charles used to be a therapist, and so he listens to a lot of my
talking to
yeah,
him.
I get free therapy. And he's a wonderful listener. And he always has such a wonderful sound advice. And so we would get into these really deep conversations about like feelings and the industry and like what we want to do and what is stopping us from doing that and why aren't we doing these things. And he would always be like, we should really be recording this for a podcast. We should really be recording this for a podcast. People would really enjoy it. They could relate to it. And it just came to the point where it was like, we just need to do it. I mean, he's a perfectionist. He's a Virgo. He needs everything organized. He needs like a reason to do things. I'm a Pisces. I'm airy fairy, but I also have a little bit of organization with that when it comes to that stuff too. So finally, I just said, you know what? Who cares? Let's just forget what we have to do, the rules, no guests. Let's just do it. And so we've been doing it, and it's chaos. It's fun. We laugh the entire time, and it's therapy for us, and I hope it's therapy for other people.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been enjoying it, and just seeing you guys kind of hang out together is always really fun.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to pile on some more congratulations here. I don't want to crush you to death with them, but it is
This is the best day ever.
just so much. So here we go. So this was good for both of us here. So congrats on Final Girl getting into all these film festivals and Malvolia, Queen of Scream season 7. So I got to set the stage at least just for this one for folks, because I know you had put out a call last year for script ideas and story ideas for Malvolia. And I think I went from like, oh, I hope she likes it, to next thing I know, it's an episode in the show. Next thing I know, it's getting submitted to festivals. Next thing I know, like you're winning stuff and the short's winning and it's like best kill and like KJ is getting nominated. And I'm like, I guess she liked the story.
Yes, I did. Yes, kudos to you. Absolutely. Thank you so much for allowing me to kind of play with your script and have a really good time with it. Because I've kind of gotten to the point where I've done a lot of stuff. And so I'm like, what? I need something new, but I'm kind of stuck in the rut of like everything that I've done before. So great ideas coming from great people. Very much appreciated. So yes, it was successful.
But that's so great. I mean, because I think you really have, and you've said this, I think, on the podcast with Charles as well, that you've just over the years amassed this amazing kind of group of people, this well that you can draw from. And so you have now found people that can do awesome practical makeup effects and music. And I'm sure you have like your go-to places and people for like equipment, and all the places that maybe you don't need a permit at a certain hour after midnight to film something really quick now in LA. And then
I don't know what you're talking about. No idea. No. Whoops.
you can always edit this out. Never. Okay. So that plays into the last time you were on the podcast, you had not yet made body count yet. So I kind of wanted to see if you had maybe an update for that for the folks watching, because that has played in 11 billion film festivals now, which is awesome. Like you had no idea, right, when you were making this thing, going like, oh, this is taking so long. This, how are we going to finish this? And all, all the Kickstarters and the GoFundMe's. So now you're at these conventions and you're at these film festivals, and people are just like showering you with all this praise. So I keep calling it, and whenever I message you or email you, I'm like, this is the movie that keeps on giving.
And I'm not complaining.
No,
No,
it's
no,
awesome.
no. Um, yeah, body count has been a journey, a very interesting journey. And while it has had so much success and it has been the calling card that I wanted something that it seems like, talking about algorithm, I get shadow banned a lot on a lot of social media because I am not a very nice person. I like to
Oh
kill
no.
people. And so, if you hashtag horror or horror life or whatever, you might not get that full exposure. So I thought, well, what if I made like a feature film and got distribution? Then that would be another way of getting Malvolia out there. And then maybe people could find the web series or whatever. And yeah, it hasn't gone according to plan, but it has gone according to plan, if that makes sense.
Say, I mean, my
Yeah.
God, I think I want to say I just made that one little announcement flyer about this episode with you coming on, and then suddenly, like within like a day or two, it was like 50 freaking people that I've never even heard of before were like, yes. And I'm like, well, apparently people are excited.
All
So
right.
good for you, this is awesome.
Thank you to
So
those 50 people. Thank you.
you'll be paid later in Buddy Count Blu-ray.
Yeah. Yeah. In victim's blood. Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So what do you think is making in the last few years the horror genre the most original for like ideas and I want to say people are having more fun making independent horror movies than even comedies because I don't know if it's like people are afraid of PC things and they can't say things. When horror movies, it's like well, some jackass says some bullshit, and then the next thing you know, you lean over to the person at the theater like, "Oh, he's so dead." So
He's so
it can't just
canceled. Yeah.
wait. It can't just be just budget because we know that, and I maybe it is budget because I think that you look back at the old like Sam Raimi movies, like the Evil Dead movies, they had like no money, so they had to be innovative and put like a camera on a 2x4 and have like two guys on either side of it run through the woods and pretend to be the evil. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, do you have an opinion about why in the last like 10 years it's just independent horror has just really taken off?
I've said this for a very long time, and I still stand by it. It's that with horror, there are no rules. You
Right.
can do whatever you want to do, and you you can make a woman a demon and she can be strong and she can take down the tough guy in the end. Like there is no realism. There is fantasy to it. There is whatever you want. You don't have to set up the joke at a certain time. You don't have to, make sure that people are laughing. Or again, you don't have to really be PC because you'll find an audience that wants no PC. So there are no rules, and you can just do whatever you want to do as long as you're not following guidelines from like studio or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that. And I think horror is that genre where you can um have crazy mutations or you can have some kind of science fiction element or comedy is always the best setup for like a tension break in a horror movie. And one of the things I want to say too with going to some horror movies in the last couple weeks is it's really like the last genre where it really feels when you're in the audience like super interactive.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what, like you go to any other kind of movie, you're like, oh man, this dumbass on his phone or this person like talking to the screen, they need to shut the hell up. But in a horror movie, like you want that. You want that to be like, why are you running upstairs in the house?
Why are you doing that? Or
Like,
go the other
yeah,
way. Yeah,
he has a
exactly.
chainsaw. There are sharp objects. Run the other way. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's just my 2 cents about that. But okay, so let's play on that. Let's play on that and let's say, what have you not tried in a movie that you always wanted to try? It could be horror, another genre. Is there something that you're like, when somebody presents you a script, like a feature film locally in LA, and you're just like, oh, I'm still not gonna get to do that thing I always wanted to try.
Oh, I think you're stumping me. Because I am that type of person that always writes around what I have. Or if I
Right.
am given a script that I need to create for Malvolia or even for body count, like I had to rewrite a lot of stuff to work with what I had.
Uh-huh.
I think that that's probably going to be a goal for me this. That'll be the goal for me this year is to do something that I feel like I can't do, but I'm going to do it.
I mean, and I don't know, I haven't seen all of your movies because I mean, this is a great compliment. You have done a lot of movies. But
Some of them are just very small cameos. So
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I can't downplay anything, but like, have you ever worked with like a giant puppet or something of like a creature? Is there something where you were able to do that? Has it ever been something where you've like been buried up to your neck in the sand? I mean, anything that you can think of where you're just like, maybe you saw that in a movie and they're like, darn, she looks like she's having so much fun on that beach buried up to her neck. I bet they bring her like every margarita she wants when the Yell Cup,
I mean,
she's probably at a resort somewhere.
I just really love location horror. So, like a cabin in the woods, running in the woods, those scenic, serene shots, I absolutely love. Um, I always go back to, oh my God, it's now escaping me. The movie that I absolutely love, that I can't remember the title to,
You
but
know
it
that one with
took
the thing of that girl in the place? Yeah.
the one that takes place in Mexico and they shot it in Australia. But I mean, I would love destination. I would love to do like a
Okay.
destination horror, abandoned house destination horror. That's my jam.
It can be done. It can be done.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, So I guess if I'm, well, I was going to ask you this later, but you already kind of brought it up. So if there's any location outside of LA that you could get to film at, it could be like any country, any city. I think you've done a lot of stuff in like the woods and like urban, but has there been any place where, you're like, ooh, if money was no object and I could go and stay there for like a couple months and make something?
One of the probably run down mental asylums, like real mental asylum. I grew up very close to Danvers State Hospital. Um, that was in, that other movie that's blanking right now. Oh my God, I'm the worst today for this interview. Um, Session 9. It was in Session 9.
Okay.
And I was so jealous that they got to shoot there. Like that had always been my dream. Like my mom and I tried to go trespass because I wanted to go up there and look at it and stuff like that. But it was so condemned and people were, injuring themselves and floors were falling and all that kind of stuff. So you couldn't really get into it. But like I still to this day love watching Session 9 because, that was always a dream to do, to be somewhere in Danvers State. It's now an apartment complex. So there's only one.
Well, do they know where they live?
Yes, they do. They do. They do.
Wow.
One
Wow.
of my old babysitters used to live there, and I was like, "Did you see anything? Was it haunted?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, come on! There's gonna be something."
Yeah.
But there's only like one part of the main building that still exists. They pretty much broke down and got rid of everything, except the graveyard. The cemetery is still there. But I would love to go to like one of the mental asylums around the country and maybe do like a horror movie there. That would definitely be dreams and
Very
goals.
cool. I
Yeah.
think if money was no object, I'd like to film a horror movie in like some old ruins of
Yeah.
like of course you'd have to get permission, but like I said, if money no object, and you could do something in like an old like temple, like South America, because the
The
jungle.
Ruins. That's the movie I was talking about earlier that I couldn't remember the title.
Okay.
The Ruins. Yes.
Great
I
minds
am
think
with
alike.
you. Yes.
Or, someplace, I mean, I don't think you could really film anything in Rome, but like, or even like Istanbul and use like the old like Constantinople ruins that are like Roman
Oh,
ruins.
wow.
Or just, I don't know. It's like I've seen stuff in South America, but I'm always like, if you're inside of the temple or whatever, then you can't really do like then it becomes like from dusk till dawn, right? So it's like
Yeah.
the other part is like making it different. So I'll have a think about that. So
Yeah.
let me pick your. Oh, do you have another one?
No, but now you have me thinking. Because there was So Above as Below,
Oh
and
God, I love that
then
movie in Paris. Yeah.
So Good. And then there was The Pyramid, written by my writing mentor, Nick Simon. That took place in like the ruins and the pyramids and all that kind of
Well,
stuff.
let me ask you this. So that movie, As Above, So Below. I mean, I kind of have a little bit of claustrophobia, but it's like I can't imagine. And I know they have like scuba divers, like safety divers there, and they have like the breathing apparatus. But can you imagine being under that water as an actor, that murky, muddy water with no light, and when you put your hand up, it's stone, so there's no air, so it's like it's dark, it's murky water. You can't see in front of you. You turn around, you can't see behind you, and you're just like, well, I hope that the person there with the oxygen is like right there. Like when I was watching that movie, I was just like, oh, fuck. That's what gets you.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Would
you're
you do
you're
something like that?
riding
Would
that
you go
high.
down in like a big soupy muck and they're like, what made you halfway, Jen? Just hold your breath and swim. You got this. You got this,
Yep,
girl.
I would do it. Because I think back to the descent and what they had to go through when they were, down in the cave or whatever, and pool of blood and bodies and everything. Like, I'm down for that. That's my jam.
They're
Bring me
like,
there.
don't worry, we'll
Someone
give you
hire me.
costumes. You won't
Yeah.
ever have to wear these again.
Yes.
You will have to burn them after this. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's other stuff I thought about too. Like, it would be really cool to film like in an abandoned like pier that has like a little like if you could ever get access to like Santa Monica Pier or even like the one in Malibu and just film there, and then like the people are stuck. Like they can't go back to the
Ooh.
land. Either there's like zombies or whatever it is. It like can't go back to the land. And then
Uh-huh.
like, a storm is coming. Like they know it's like a hurricane's coming. And as they're walking around, like the timbers are like old and then they're rotting, so it's kind of swaying a little bit. So it's all like a race against time. So it's a lot you can do.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of Alfred Hitchcock. It's Alfred Hitchcock's Lifeboat. Lifeboat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
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 That's good
That kind
stuff.
of reminds me like that. Yeah.
Anything where there's like a race against time, anything you can make like 90 minutes, and then it's like either you're getting out of this or you're not. Either way, this movie's ending in 9 minutes.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So let me ask you this. So have you seen some really cool horror movies lately that you could recommend, like in the theater or at home?
Yeah, just about a month ago, and it's out on streaming now. Smile 2.
Oh, okay. Was it good?
Oh, wow. Just that opening scene alone is like, this is stuff that I would love to do. I thought it was great. I thought it was creepy. I thought it was eerie. It was better than the first one.
Wow.
They did a terrific job. The lead actress was fantastic. In fact, everybody that was in it was absolutely fantastic. Loved that. Um, we got to talk about The Substance. I was totally into The
I
Substance.
haven't seen it yet. I know I'm one of the few people that haven't seen it yet. I
Yeah,
just, oh, I want to see it, but it'll be on streaming soon. I think if it's not already, so I'll check that out.
yeah, highly recommend. Love the girl power. I love the back and forth between the two actresses. I just thought it was fantastic. The body horror of it too. And then just on the plane, I watched Blink twice, and I
Oh, is
watched it
that good? That's out
twice.
on streaming now too, right? With
It's
Channing
on, I
Tatum.
believe so. Yeah, with Channing Tatum. And oh my God. So Charles had recommended it, and a friend of mine had recommended it to me like a while ago. And I just thought I'd put it on because fall asleep to horror movies. I'm that girl. I'm that red flag.
You're like,
Um, yeah.
kill, 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 kill.
So I was taking a red eye to Florida, and I was like, oh, okay, Delta has Boink twice. I'll watch this. And so I was kind of falling half asleep a little bit, like, and the whole time I was watching the beginning of the movie, I was like, why do they recommend this movie? It's such a bore fest. Like, oh God, so typical. And then boom, it switches, and you're like, oh, I get it. So
Um,
I was awake for the rest of the movie. So then I was like, no, I have to rewatch the rest. I got to rewatch the beginning again to really pay attention to see like, and I did when coming back, I watched it again coming back, paid attention, and I just think it is extremely brilliant. They give you so many breadcrumbs, they give you so many hints as to what's going to happen, what is happening, the design, the costumes design, the colors that she uses. Zoe Kravitz did a fantastic, amazing job. And I usually don't praise, kids of stars or celebrities because I know that they don't have it easy, but deep down, I kind of feel like they have it easy. But
Nepotism, yeah.
she knocked this out of the park. And Channing Tatum needs to be given more chances on being that guy. And I won't say like what happens or anything because I don't want to, give it away, but he really needs to be because such a powerful performance.
Okay,
Powerful
cool.
performance. Yeah.
Let's see. One I can definitely recommend that you probably have seen is Nosferatu.
I have not seen it.
Oh, I won't say anything, but yeah, I mean, you know the story of Dracula, so you kind of know what happens basically. But Robert Edgers, I don't know if he's made a bad movie. I mean, from The Witch to The Lighthouse to The Northman to this, and then he's going to make a werewolf movie next. And I was like, I'm there. I mean, they're
Yeah.
going to use Old English, I guess, for that werewolf movie that he's getting ready to make, and it's going to be like set in the 12th century in England. And I was like, good,
Good. Thank
something
you.
different, I
Yeah.
mean, and then when they asked the article I read, I don't know if this is probably not a good idea, but they're going to let him make a sequel to Labyrinth, and I was
Oh
like,
my.
nah. I mean, it really depends on. He must have a really good idea because you have no David Bowie.
I know.
So, you had a lot of great people were in it. Jennifer Connelly, you had a lot of great people like George Lucas, Jim Henson and like Terry Jones, all these like great people at the height of their power. And it's like, how do you, that's why I'm like, this guy must have like the shining gold chicken nugget of ideas because it's like,
Seriously.
how did you pitch that movie sequel without David Bowie? So it must be a really good idea. So we'll see.
I guess we'll see. Exactly.
One that I was disappointed in, and I won't give it too much shade, but it was just such a good trailer and not a good movie was Wolfman.
I also heard that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where I kind of feel like they presented it was going to be a certain kind of movie, and then it was not that.
That's what they tend to do nowadays.
I know, it's like,
Yeah.
kudos to whoever made that trailer. I mean, that trailer should win an Oscar. But I mean, have you seen anything else, or is there anything like that's coming out that you're super excited about, like in horror movies? I mean, I am trying to think of
I'm
what
trying to think too.
I don't know if there's anything. Oh, well, I'm definitely going to see Welcome to Derry about Pennywise the Clown, and they got Skarsgård to come back. I'm like, okay.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
The
Yeah.
only thing I was worried about when I heard about it, I was like, well, Stephen King has to be involved. And it's like, what are they pulling the story from? But I guess there's a lot of stuff in the book that they didn't use for the two movies. So I'm like, okay, I'm
Which is
in.
amazing because those movies were like so long. They were at least like two and a half
Yeah.
hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Whew.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's good. That'll be a fun series for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Let's say you could act in another genre. Is there another genre you want to tackle that you haven't tackled yet or for like a long time as an actor?
I mean, I'm always drawn to dark thrillers, anything dark. That's always like, yes, please. But I wouldn't mind doing like a campy comedy. I think that would be a lot of fun. Katie Gladwell, who was one of the leads in Irrational Fear, we always joke that we would do like this sidekick cop movie together. We could like goof around and be silly and stupid together, and I just think that that would be hysterical. I wouldn't
Probably
mind
to see
doing
you
something
guys
like
in
that.
something like what's that one with Sandra Bullock, The Heat?
Yeah, I think that's how we came up with that. Was the
Yeah,
heat?
you could
Yeah,
totally see
yeah,
you guys doing that. That'd be really fun.
yeah, yeah.
Very cool, very cool. Is there something else like a drama, sci-fi? I mean, is there anything you can think of that you're like, I haven't ever got that opportunity before?
Well, let's be honest, I haven't really had a lot of opportunities. I've always been in horror mostly.
Woman who was just at like the festival last weekend. Everybody was like praising you, but yeah, they want more. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could totally see you doing a romantic comedy. I could totally see you doing, you know what? I could see you doing like, oh, this would be kind of cool. What about like a murder mystery that's like a Western?
Okay.
And so maybe your character would be because of the time period, your character could be like this damsel, and she's like at the center of the story where it's like her husband or fiance gets brutally killed, and then it turns out at the end that she is, and then the person they always see in the distance that they think is the killer has like a hat and wears like a cowboy outfit and has, I don't know, you can make it crazy and say that she has a gun or like a rusty meat hook, whatever. Make it a horror movie. I don't care.
Yeah.
And then she's actually the one because she's actually getting revenge on all the people who ruined her life when she was younger or something like that. But it's one of those things where it's like the first third or half of it has to have the character be like this Willow like shrieking violet. And then when they show the other character, you're like, whenever she's told about this character, she's got to be cowering, like, not the whatever. Oh, I've heard horrible things, and he does terrible things to people. And at the very like last couple minutes, and then somebody rips off her little handkerchief, and you have your hair pulled back, and then they're just like, oh, and she's like, why so surprised? I
And
don't
it's
know. I just
possible.
think it's something that I haven't anyway seen you done. I don't know. Maybe you've done something like that before. I don't know.
No, I definitely have never done any Westerns, though I do think I'd be perfect for it, even though I can't really ride a
You're
horse. But
like,
I could learn and I know how to shoot a gun.
there you go. There you go. I mean, and I think the whole like murder mystery part of it, where it's like, how is this happening? And they're always trying to get this girl, and it's this poor girl. Oh, and then the big reveal is always just like, why so surprised? Um, yeah, I guess I know we probably covered this in the first time that we had you on, but I guess just regale people with this. Um, I guess explain kind of like how and when you came to Los Angeles, when you were first kind of getting into the film community, and however many years ago that was, how has that changed? And do you think it's much easier with the internet and like, you can film things on an iPhone now?
When I first moved to LA, it was about 20 years ago. And I was doing mostly stage work, musical theater. And then my uncle, who was an actor in New York for a while, introduced me to an acting teacher out here who taught Meisner technique. And so I did that for 2 years. I just strictly like studied. I didn't do any auditioning. But then once I, graduated, I started to do the auditioning thing. And I learned very quickly that auditioning is so hard. And you go to a location. First of all, you have to, get dressed, put on your makeup, get in your car, sit in traffic, find parking,
In
find
LA.
parking in LA, find parking that's even long enough because you don't know how long you're going to be at this audition. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 2 hours. So you have to find that. You walk in, you sign in, you sit down, you look around the room, and there are about 100 other women that look exactly like you that are also dressed exactly like you. So, rude awakening, trying to book a job is so hard. So, I was introduced to self producing pretty quickly. And I got asked to help produce and act in a web series called Guides. It was a sci-fi comedy, and I learned hands-on, camera work, sound, how to sync footage, how to develop a script. I never did that. I was always just stage actress, musical theater, given materials, So when you get to do self-producing, kind of get to do whatever you want and nobody has to say no. You get to say no if you want to. So, I started to do that and I was learning about DSLR. And, that's when cell phones were becoming pretty awesome, like iPhones and everything like that. Oh, wow. I'm really dating myself. I tell everybody I'm 28, which I am. But anyway, um, and so I started to learn like it was just really easy to just kind of do it on your own. And I finally felt fulfilled, because for so long you can go to audition and audition and audition and audition, and you hear no, or you're not good enough, or you're not this character, you're only like this. You can only play the best friend. Like for you to say that I could play, the lead woman, the damsel in distress, 20 years ago, I wasn't told that. I was told, no, you're the background, you're just the best friend, what is this? And so took control of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And yeah, here we are. I learned everything, learned editing, learned everything. And this was never the plan. I was supposed to be on a hit TV series and retired by now, you know?
Right? Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what? I think this is better in the long run because um you have, inspired, I think, so many people around you. And also, and I'm gonna guess this happens to you too, where you're at conventions and festivals, you probably have like young girls come up to you and say like, well, they're probably shy, but they probably say things like, how do I get to do what you do? Because they may not have even fathomed that, it was possible for somebody when someone tells them like, oh yeah, she's in the movie, but she made the movie. And that little kid is just going like, because they didn't
Whoa.
know that they even have that door was never open or they never knew there was even a door.
Yeah, yeah. I have gotten some really powerful questions from young women. When I was screening Body Count at Slash and Bash convention in Kansas, one woman asked me who inspired, the villain in the movie, and I could not give her an answer because a majority of the film was written by numerous people. But I had an inkling because I was a part of every segment and I was, watching over every segment and editing pretty much every segment. I had an inkling of how I wanted to portray all of these things, but I couldn't answer that question because there wasn't just like one person that inspired me for this one villain. It's been a lot of things, and it's more true to life, things that make me angry, things that hurt my feelings, things that people have said to me. Um, it's a lot of things like that. And so I didn't even know how to portray that or convey that or say that to her. It was never a physical being or a character of something. It was all emotions, and that took me a long time to even figure out that, I didn't really know until just recently what that was. But it was also therapy, which we're doing full circle. So watch Beyond the Body Count podcast.
That is a smooth plug. I just think that, for everybody out there who does kind of their own artwork, what no matter what it is, I would say, chase your bliss. Don't worry about the money. That's what we have crappy day jobs for. We have to pay
Yes,
the
we do.
bills. We will always at some point have to do that. But I also think that it really speaks highly of you that you work on other people's projects. You're always there. I'm sure you're the kind of friend that if someone calls up and like, our gaffer kind of quit the last minute, and you're like, I'll be
I'll
there.
be there. I'll be there. I'll
Please
show
have some
up.
energy drinks or some coffee or something.
Yeah, and do we get lunch? That's the big
Yeah.
question.
And it can't just be, Fritos or something,
I'm
or
even frying with Fritos. Let's work it. Let's work the corn chips,
so like, on sets that you worked on like back in the day, because we've all done our fair share of like background and this and that on shows and movies. Have you ever like gone somewhere and worked on like a huge show or movie, and then it's like they treat the extras like cattle, and they're just literally like those little like dollar bags of like chips and like a Capri Sun, and like, are we 10? Like, do we get like something we can eat? Like, it's cold out here. Can we like get something that's gonna keep us going? We're like doing laps around whatever this is, this field in the rain, and they're like, "All right, everybody, well, the cast is gonna go back to holding, and just you guys just hold on." And you're like, and okay.
I don't do very much extra work. I only did it once or twice, and the two times I did it, I was treated exceptionally well. So I have no complaints.
I remember back in the day, this was like a long time ago, like in downtown LA, when I first started doing stuff
Oh
through like,
God, you even went down to downtown LA?
yeah,
Oh,
through like Central
bless your
Casting and stuff. I
heart.
remember, oh my God.
Oh,
And I had worked like 4 or 5 days in a row and I was exhausted and I was like, okay, I see the yellow signs, but am I on CSINY or am I on NCISLA or am I on whatever the fuck, the military like crime scene show was? And I show up, am I on this one? I'm like, oh, you're probably across the street on Miami. Oh. And you go
oh
across the
my
street, and it's
God.
like, Miami. Oh, I must be on the New Orleans one across the street. And I'm like, and it was all those like pay parking lots in downtown
Uh,
LA, and everybody just looked like a zombie. And I just remember the best thing that ever came out of the time that I did that was in the holding areas and talking to people,
mm,
finding out what projects people were working on and finding out like, oh, somebody's working on like a student film and they need some help, or oh, somebody is going to go on a location shoot for commercial and they need crew people. And that's kind of like how I got my stuff in there. So did you just initially just find people in LA that were working on stuff, or did you kind of stumble into things when you first got into town?
I did a lot of things called casting director workshops that are not kosher here anymore.
Oh,
I did the pay to play kind of thing.
gotcha.
And I went really broke doing it. But yeah, that's how I connected a lot. I did some theater too. I produced a couple of stage plays here, so I met actors that way. Social media was really new, and so that was a really easy thing for me to use. Um, Anytime my acting teacher said go to this or go to that, we would go and we would, meet people. So I met people pretty organically, except for the casting director workshops. But yeah,
Very cool. Well, let me
yeah.
ask you this because some people have asked me, especially since Final Girl came out. Are there more episodes to come this season for season seven of Malvolia, or is that kind of wrapped up for this year?
Yeah, season seven's pretty much done.
Okay.
My goal is to still host some public domains, at least one per month for the next couple of months until I can pick up the season again in the summertime. It's just that, time and money is really hard.
It's the worst.
God, and like I when I was in Florida, I was talking to this one filmmaker and who used to be in LA for years, and then he's like, "Yeah, it's so much easier here moving to Florida. People want you to film at their locations. They'll give the locations to you for free. If you need to guerrilla something, nobody cares. Nobody says anything. But here in Los Angeles, it's at least $100 an hour." For locations, if not more, and you need at least like 10 hours. So that's like $1,000. You're paying for everybody's food, and that's another 500. I mean, it's really costly and really expensive here. So I kind of have to refocus on finances, get my life together a little bit, and then I'll pick up the season again in the fall. But yeah, goals are gonna try and host some stuff.
Very cool. Let me ask you this because I haven't been to Central Florida in a while. So I know they have parks. I don't know if they have like forests. I know they have a lot of palm trees, but other than that, maybe that is like a possible, if you wanted to just put together like a kind of like ragtag, like location filming for one of your movies or something and just shoot like part of it there. I mean,
Yeah.
you could really, I mean, between you and your folks and whoever, they probably know of like somebody who has like a warehouse or somebody who has like an abandoned old house that you wouldn't have to like probably pay a dime for it. Just be like
Yeah.
a friend of so and so, and they said as long as you guys clean up when you're done or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely have to start putting feelers out for that because that would be amazing. It would just be, getting there or and bringing whoever I need to bring with me, all that too.
So I know you're originally from the Northeast, so is there ever like a pull to maybe film something back there? I imagine maybe with all the historical buildings, it's probably like crazy expensive though.
I'm sure it is. I've never really looked into it, only because, my parents retired to Florida. So anytime I really leave California, unless it's like for a convention or a job, I just go to Florida. I haven't been to Boston in a couple of years. So, um, but they still have, in Danvers where I grew up, which was right next to Salem, they still have the Rebecca Nurse house. That's
Wow.
that's that's still kind of like a museum type thing. Um, Very authentic, 1600s or whatever. And so there are those things there. I also believe it would be costly. And because it's so historic, insurance galore,
Yeah.
So, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So I guess what is something that you want to try that you haven't tried? Because it's like you're making movies, you're doing the web series, you're doing the podcast. Is there something else in media that you want to try? Have you ever thought about like a return to the stage, or is there something else on the horizon, maybe?
My goal is to try and focus on more features.
Okay.
I have a feature film script that I've been wanting to produce now for a couple of years, but that it's going to cost some money. And crowdfunding has been successful, but not as successful as I would need for this film. So I'm really trying to think of ways outside the box to kind of raise money for projects that I want to do by not dipping into my own bank account because that's also very deadly. And, I live paycheck to paycheck, which is also very difficult. So that wouldn't work. But I'm also playing around with a found footage film,
Oh,
which I would also want to shoot myself. So I wouldn't have to rely on a lot of people. I could just rely on me, a couple of actors, and see how that would
that
go.
is awesome. I'm right there for that. One thing I
Yeah.
thought about when I was still in LA that I don't know if it's still even an option because people would tell me about that they would do these things, and I was just like, how do we even get in that room? Is to go around to like financial institutions and see if they do like bonds or if they do sponsors or would put up like portion of the budget because I know that no matter how big the movie may be, it could still be an independent film or it could be some multi-million dollar film. The money's got to come from somewhere, and it's not always from like a studio.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's always like investment firms and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe I don't even know where I would point you in like what direction, but there's always like somebody telling me like, oh, when we went in there and we made this presentation, and they're like, well, how did you get your foot in the door? Like, anyway, Eric, it's great talking to you. And I'm like,
Yeah. Nobody wants to
well,
share
and I
those
get it. Like, no
secrets.
one wants to give away the keys to the
Yeah.
kingdom. They don't want to give away that secret. Where I'm just like, how did you make this little movie into like this? You got millions of dollars. They're like, life was good, Eric. Life was good. Is it though?
Is it? Like how good is it? Like how would I be able to get it good too?
Throw
Yeah.
your brother a bone here. Okay, well, we've been rapping for a little while here, so let's wrap it up. And I guess let the folks know kind of like what's coming up next for you and kind of like where they can find your work online and reach out.
Sure. Yeah. So Malvolia, the Queen of Screams, is on YouTube at Queen Malvolia. On the socials, all the socials at Queen Malvolia. You could follow me at Jennifer Nangle or at Jennifer_Nangle on YouTube and Instagram. And what is next? I don't know. I don't really have anything in the works right now.
Yes. So you have more episodes of that coming out, right?
That's true. At Beyond the Body Count podcast, we are releasing new episodes every Tuesday on the
Right on.
YouTube channel. So we have that. But as far as acting, yeah, just kind of searching for the next thing. Life has been a little wild out here in LA with all the fires and everything. So
I don't envy you guys that. Oh, I'm so glad
yeah.
you're okay. Is everybody you know okay? Everybody making it through all right?
Very safe and blessed. Very safe and blessed. Yeah, obviously know people that have lost everything, which is absolutely devastating and just very scary. And yeah, California is in a weird state right now, so just kind of taking it day by day, hour by hour, and we'll see how it goes.
Um, you are a rock star. You are awesome. You are so cordial and friendly and supportive to everybody. You're probably, no joke, the reason why I still get new credits on IMDb.
We can keep that going. We can keep that going too. Yes.
We'll keep it coming. We'll keep it coming. But I just wanted to say thank you so much. You were awesome as I knew you would be. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Tell everybody I said hi. I miss everybody in LA so much. And I hope you guys are all safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.